Hey everyone, it's Wednesday, time for a little wisdom. So today I thought I would talk a little bit about protein. You know, we all talk about different nutritional programs, low carb, low fat, but we really never focus in on protein. And I think because we have spent so much time talking about insulin resistance, I think it's important that we understand that muscle, where our protein really lives in the body, although all of our enzymes and different cells make proteins, but essentially skeletal muscle is protein. And that is the first source for insulin resistance. And one of the things that happens with aging is that we begin to lose muscle. And that starts early, even way before menopause, particularly for both men and women. Even in our 30s, we can start to know that we've peaked from a muscular standpoint, and we really have to look at muscle and the preservation of muscle so that we can continue to live well. And it is that level of muscle and what we call muscle-centric medicine, if you will, and understanding that it is so vital for overall health and wellness. We know that people with more muscle, even when chronic illnesses and or cancer occur, tend to do so much better. So I thought I'd spend a little time talking about muscle, and muscle really is an endocrine organ. It produces myokines and different things, as well as helping the body continue to be as sensitive to insulin. And then it's the first place where insulin resistance occurs, because once you reach a saturation point with the amount of glucose in our bloodstream, the muscle says, no more. You go send that to the fat. And that's what happens in this continuum from normal metabolism to type 2 diabetes, is that the muscle first becomes the organ of insulin resistance. And so strength training and muscle and dietary protein all are very vital. And so I thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about that and why animal protein is much more similar to our protein and why that can be such a good source. Now, I know that people who are committed to vegetarianism and veganism can certainly have muscle and get protein in their diet. It's just much more challenging to get the types of protein. And we're learning more and more about the amino acids. We know that there are 20 amino acids, and 9 of those amino acids are essential, meaning our body cannot make those. And so we must ingest them. And animal protein tends to have the better balance of these, and the most important one being leucine. Now, there are 3 what are called branch chain amino acids, and these are leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and these are essential fatty acids. And the others are histine and lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, and tryptophan. So those are all very important as far as being essential amino acids, meaning you must intake them in your diet. All of the other amino acids we can make in our body. But you want to have good high quality protein, and you want to have a well-balanced amount. And as we age, it's important to continue with protein as part of a good nutritional program in essentially the same amounts that you would, if not more. Meaning, if you were going to, say, go on a lower caloric type of program, you don't want to cut out the protein. You want to continue to have probably at least a gram, close to a gram per pound of body weight. So, and it's important to start each day, because we're catabolic, meaning that we're using up all of our resources when we're fasting. So you want to have a good protein for that first meal, a good amount of protein, whether it is in the form of animal protein or even powders, whey protein being a very good source for most folks, unless you have real issues. And if you are vegan, you can do pea protein, but you need to add creatine to that, maybe 5 grams, so that, and just understand that you need a few other things as far as getting a good, well balance. But it's that leucine that seems to turn on muscle production in terms of some of the signaling that takes place in the body. So getting a good amount of protein, getting perhaps even up to 50 grams of protein per meal if you're going to be doing some intermittent fasting, is vital. And that's challenging to do in terms of what it is you're going to do. And we don't tend to break our fast with meals that are heavily laden with protein. They seem to be heavily laden with carbohydrates and or fats. So I think it's important to look at how are we going to break our fast and making sure that we get adequate amounts of protein, especially if you're only going to have 2 meals. You may need up to 50 grams of protein per meal, and that's challenging. So we do have to rely on sources perhaps other than just animal protein and go with certain powders, whey protein being a very good source. So I think what the bottom line here is that as we age, we actually need more protein than we did when we were younger, and we need to make sure that we get the essential amino acids in our nutritional program so that we can maintain our muscle, and not only from a dietary standpoint, but then also obviously from an exercise standpoint, that we need to do a lot of strength work in addition. And you don't have to have a lot of equipment. You don't necessarily have to go to a gym. Having a few weights or just using resistance with your body can be helpful. Push-ups and sit-ups and doing large muscle groups as well as small muscle groups, understanding that after say an upper body workout, you want to have a day of rest so that your body can actually then take that workout and build muscle. It doesn't build it while you're doing the exercise, it does it after your exercise. So recognizing you don't want to continue to work the same hard muscles day in, day out. You want to have some days of rest in between, or if you're going to work out every day, just move around different body parts. So do upper body or core or leg work, etc. But no matter who you are and where you are and your stage and age of life, you should really strongly consider doing some form of strength training, because we know that the body is so much more resilient and significantly decreased risk of morbidity and mortality with more muscle on our skeletal system. So a little bit about protein. You know, as I said, we just talk a lot about carbs and fat, but we don't really talk about protein. And I hope that that has given you some little bit of insight into ways that you should approach your nutrition. You should keep your protein grams the same, whether you're doing low carb, low fat, but maintain your protein intake. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk again next week.